Live Live Podcast with your host, Jose Arqueta. Live Live Podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. And as always, I like to start my episode with a quote that relates to my guest. The quote states the following: "Every journey begins with a single step, no matter how long the road ahead may seem." Boom. Today, help me welcome Matthew Villegas, a dedicated AOD counselor from Salinas, California. After overcoming personal battles with addiction, anxiety, and depression, Matthew now helps others navigate their own recovery journeys. His mission is to spread awareness about addiction, mental health, and suicide prevention, showing that recovery is possible. What's up, brother?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
No, I'm glad you're here, man. I know it's kind of hot in the studio, so just to clarify, guys, if you see me sweating, don't think I'm sick, all right? I sweat a lot, and it's a ball thing, all right?
You're just nervous.
No, I'm not nervous. I'm actually excited, dude, because, we were talking before we hit record. Mental health it's a big issue for men nowadays, right? And not only that, but I feel that it's overlooked a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Another thing, too, that it's a big difference from us, well, my viewpoint about mental health is that we go through it a little bit different than everybody else.
Yeah.
We drugs, alcohol, depression, anxiety, et cetera, right? But before we dive into that, I want to go ahead and just touch bases of how we know each other. You know, I know it's been forever. I mean, shit, I feel that I met you in 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both worked at Home Depot.
Home Depot. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to all the alumni there at Home Depot, to everybody. You know what's crazy, bro, that once you graduate from high school, everybody goes their own way.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody goes to college, others go to the military. And you lose touch with some friends, right? The majority of them.
Absolutely.
And you keep close to the real ones, right? For me, when I started working at Home Depot, dude, I met a whole new, different breed of friends, right?
Yeah.
Different from where I was used to, different from where I grew up with. And to me, it was like a different vibe, and I really liked it, dude. Kicking it with 21-year-olds, 22 years old. I was like 18, 19, and getting my fake ID from, I forgot, I'm not going to say his name, but, he hooked me up with my fake ID and going to the bars with all you guys.
Yeah.
I think because you were older than me, right? I think I was 19. I don't know how old were you.
Well, if it was 2002, I graduated in '01, so I would have only been like 18.
Oh, so we're in the
19.
same age, dude. Yeah, I graduated in 2001. Nice. Yeah, so we're both 25. Just kidding.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, no, but getting my fake ID, bro, and remember going to Monterey, to Dogs, Bluefield, Playa Gemini, all those spots. Like, yeah. Was it Mucky Ducks or
Mucky Duck.
Yeah, Mucky Duck.
Britannia Arms.
Yeah, all those spots, and it was a different times back then. Yeah, especially TGI Fridays. That was our spot after work, right?
Tokyo Teas.
Yeah. What are you guys doing after work? Oh, we go to Fridays. Let's go. The whole squad will be there. lumber department, building materials,
Electrical.
Yeah. Oh, electrical department. I remember. Yeah, electrical department. And I met you there, dude. And the first thing I was like, man, this guy is hella tall,
I know a lot of times when I'm sitting down and then I stand up and like, damn, you're tall.
Yeah. But one thing that intrigued me a lot about you, bro, was your personality. You were really, really outgoing. You were always happy, dude. I mean, sometimes we dealt with BS customers.
Yeah.
And you were always happy, dude. That's my impression of you when I first met you, and how our friendship continued from there on, right?
Yeah.
And I remember one time I saw your apron.
Super Mateo.
Super Mateo with the big old S right here. I remember that. Oh, what's up? And then everybody, what's up, Super Mateo? It was so cool, dude. And then obviously I ended up getting fired from there. And then
So did I.
Yeah, and then a couple of months later, I bump into you at Nextel, the wireless cell phone right here in
Northridge.
Northridge, yeah. So I remember you helped out my dad with some Nextel phones and stuff like that. Yeah. You were running that store, and then years went by, bro. And I bumped into you at a bar. And I was, what's up, bro? How you been? We're catching up. I was with the squad still, you know, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know
you
what you're talking about.
And you're like, yeah, I'm at the sheriff's department. I was like, you saw my expression, like, you at the sheriff's department? You're like, right? Who would have thought I was going to be at the sheriff's department? I remember you said that.
Every single person that I told, what are you doing now? I'm a sheriff. I'm like, no, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm a sheriff. They're like, let me see your badge.
Yeah.
I show them the badge. They're like, damn.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that from you.
Nobody did, bro. Nobody did because, you know, put it this way, we were different back then. We were young, you know, we were living la vida loca. We were just enjoying life. You know, that's what it's all about. And I remember not having a zero care of the world, dude. I didn't even care about the news. I didn't care about what was going on in the world. All I cared about just going to work. And to be honest with you, bro, I enjoyed going to work at Home Depot. I enjoyed it, dude. You know what I mean?
It was something that was weird that, you know, it's not like electrical was my life, but it was just something about running into the same people every day, getting returning customers that remember you and go to you. And plus it was always nice and cold in there, and I'm always running hot. So
really,
Hey,
we're hot, bro. We're hot, you know. Look at my wife married a hot guy. You know what I mean? You know, I always tell her, you know, babe, I think you're the reason why I went bald.
Yeah, that's why I got some gray hair underneath this hat.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, you're the second guest I have here, dude, wearing a Niner hat, bro. Oh, man.
What can I say? The best ones to have are the Niner fans.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, all right, bro. We're not going to get started on that, all right, bro?
We're not going to do a podcast on Raiders versus Niners. Right?
Yeah, we'll do it one day, bro. But yeah, that was the best time ever, dude. You know, TGI Fridays for me was... I remember experiencing my first drink was Long Island iced tea. I was with my buddy Angel Jimenez. I don't know if you remember Big Angel Jimenez. I'm sure if you see him, you'll know who it is. But I remember me and him got our fake IDs, and we went to TGI Fridays, and they gave us Long Island. Because back then, all I drank was a Bud Light, bro. So I was like, let me get a Long Island, dude. And I remember that day, I had a date with my girlfriend at that time. So I was like, I'll just have one. Hulk, the very first movie, the Hulk came out.
Okay.
So I remember we drink. Was it the Hulk movie? I can't remember. I drank that Long Island. I actually drank two, bro. I don't know how I got to her house.
Really?
I picked her up. She knew I was drunk. I told her, hey, you drive. I slept on the way to the movies. I slept through the whole freaking movie, dude. She woke my ass up. She's on my dad's outside. I was like, all right. I remember calling my boy JC. Remember JC?
Yeah.
I remember calling JC. Hey, dude, where you at? So I'm right here at TGI Fridays. Oh, I'm going back, you know?
That's always how it was.
Yeah.
Call someone else. Everyone else ready to call at night. I'm not. You always find someone else that's at some other bar there, Applebee's, whatever.
Yeah, but TGI was the bar to be, dude. Because I remember everybody would go pre-game it.
Oh, yeah.
Like at 9 o'clock. If it was your day off, you pre-game it like at 9 o'clock. I remember I'll be getting ready at 9. My mom's like, what are you getting ready for? Where are you going? Oh, I'm going to go out. You know? And it was at that time you'll be getting ready like at 9, 10. Get to Monterey like 11, 11:30. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, bro. Taking it way back.
Way back.
Yeah, and then years went by, and obviously you mentioned you were at the sheriff's department, and you were there, and I was like, wow, he's in the sheriff's department. And I was happy, bro, because one, you know, you get to a point like, you know, you see somebody and you're like, wow, if that person could do it, I could do it.
Yeah.
You know, despite of how that person was at work when we were working together, because you were not a bad person, but you were always really, really funny. You were always messing around with everybody, joking around. So for everybody to see, like, be surprised is like, you know, it's like, whoa, you know. But for me, I was like, man, if he could do it, I could do it. You know, everybody else could do it. That's awesome, you know. And obviously the years went by, and we connected again. What was it, like 2 weeks ago at the Relay for Life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you, and I saw you different, dude. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I shook your hand. I was like, man, he feels different. He looks different. You know what I mean? From previous events that we bump into each other. Because I'll be honest, the times that we bump into each other was at the bar.
Yeah, that's the only time that I would ever run into anybody is when I was at a bar, whether it be Dubbers or somewhere else, and like, oh shit. Sometimes I hear, hey, Super Mateo.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I already know who it is.
I think last time I ran into you was at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Okay.
Yeah, Buffalo. I think that was the last time I ran into you because after that I stopped going to Buffalo. Always, it was getting too crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And I just stopped going, and then and that was it, dude.
Yeah.
You know, but it was you were different, bro. You know, you still are different. Even right now, having
Yeah.
this conversation is way different because, I mean, the conversations we had, we were both under the influence of
I know. And, you know, I was always, you know, competent. I knew what I was talking about at the time. But then other times I would go back and I'm like, why the hell was I even talking about that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But,
I'm like, what did I say to Jose? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
what the hell did I just say?
Yeah. And it's just crazy, dude. Being able to reconnect with you, hearing your story, even if it was for like brief 7 or 8 minutes, we were
Yeah.
talking. 'Cause I know you were there for your mom.
Yeah.
You know, and as a cancer survivor, it was my first event. You know, I had like I mentioned, you had bad experiences with nonprofits, and
Yeah.
that one I was blown away.
Yeah.
But you know, I was there, and for me that day it was full emotions, bro. It was full emotions to see the lit up the candles, you know, and
Yeah.
all that stuff. It was heartbreaking because on April I lost a good friend of mine. Yeah, and he battled for 11 years, 11 or 10 years, you know. But he fought hard, and it broke my heart, you know.
Yeah.
And I have another friend too that he's currently putting up a fight right now, you know, and he's fighting, and he's just like, I feel blessed to get another opportunity in life. I think I'm going 6 years
awesome.
remission, off
That's
remission.
awesome.
Yeah, they give you 5 years,
Yeah.
right? For me, every cancer diagnosis is different.
Yeah.
So they gave me 5 years. After the 5th year, I was just like, whoa, you know, like it never hit me, bro, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, you know, I dealt with some stuff that we'll get into it right now. But I want everybody to know a little bit more about you before we dive into the real deep stuff, right?
Okay.
Because I want to get down and dirty, bro, on this one. Like I said,
Start
you
in
know,
the shallow end and then get
yeah. So obviously you were born here in Salinas, California,
Yes.
right? What area did you live here in Salinas?
north side down the street.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, just
What school? What elementary school is here?
it's Laurelwood, but I went to Madonna.
Madonna.
So my whole life I've gone to Catholic private schools.
Damn, look at you.
I know.
Again, who would have thought, right?
Exactly. Like you spend 5 minutes with me and like this guy needs Jesus. But yeah, it was Catholic private schools my whole life. Very,
Really? So you went
very
to Palma?
sheltered. Yep, I went to Palma.
No way. Wow, I didn't know that, bro.
Yeah,
Wow.
Palma alumni.
So how was it going to Catholic school, dude? Like, was it anything different from you? Was it strict or you?
You
how
know,
was it?
Madonna was good. You know, that's all I knew. I went there from kindergarten to 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I actually had to repeat kindergarten because I was a selective mute.
What do you mean selective mute?
So I thought my parents were trying to abandon me. So when I got to school, I wouldn't talk to anyone
Oh my God, really?
except for one girl. And every now and then the teacher, but for the most part, I was just silent. And then it comes to the end of the year, and I'm all excited. We're going to summer. My parents call me into their room, and they're like, you know, we were talking with your teachers, and we think that you should do the grade over. I was like, what do you mean? Like, well, you're not talking, and they're worried that you're going to go on to the next grade, and you're not going to talk, so it's going to hold you back.
Right.
So I was like, so you're telling me I have to repeat the grade because I wouldn't talk?
Right.
From that point on, I haven't shut up. You know, it's just been every year after that, class clown, class clown.
Class clown.
Yeah, it was like you couldn't
Oh,
shut
man.
me up, and so you
Yeah.
know, I blame that. You know,
Yeah.
that's why I talk so much. But you know, it was good. You know, I didn't have to deal with certain things that a lot of other people that I know have gone through. You know, I didn't have to deal with gangs when I was growing up. Palma, you know, no real gangs there other than the rich people. But
The rich gang.
yeah, the rich gang. But you know, other than that, I was pretty sheltered.
Oh, okay.
You know, I never really saw anything other than Catholic school, sports, go home. My dad was a sheriff, so you know, it was like a strict household.
That's
with
right.
that.
Oh, your dad was a cop. Yeah.
So you know, that was part of the reason why I never really saw myself as becoming a sheriff, because it was just like, you know, I don't think I could do that. You know.
Was it because your dad was a sheriff and it was just always strict at your home that you didn't see yourself as a?
I didn't really
pursuing that
see
career?
it, and especially once I got into high school and then, you know, started smoking weed, and it was like, okay, you can't smoke weed and be a sheriff.
Right.
So I was like, you know, no, that's not for me. I'm not, you know, cop status. That's not me.
Yeah. Did your pops had hopes that you would join the sheriffs, follow the traits?
I think in a way he did. You know, he always expressed, you know, it's a great career,
Right.
you know, for your family, benefits, job security, all this different stuff. And then it was just like, nah. And it was actually the reason why I applied with the sheriffs was because with my girlfriend at the time, I wanted to get engaged, but I wanted a career. I was just going from job to job,
yeah.
you know, nothing that was stable or serious and nothing with a future. So I was like, you know what? Let me go take the test. I passed the test, and then it's like next step was the physical. Pass the physical, and then you go through the background. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, it's game on. Yeah.
It's game on. And you know, once I got the job offer, went to the academy, it was like I just felt like a completely different person.
You
Like,
changed real quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I changed. I adapt pretty well to different situations.
Really?
But, you know, it was definitely a shocker because, you know, you go to the academy and then the sheriffs, they start off in the jail.
Right.
So, you know, once I got my first tour, I was like, oh, my God, you know, you got big old parolees, you got people with tattoos all over the face. I went to Palma and Madonna. You know, I didn't see any of that.
I remember one time you told me a story. You were walking on the yard and you were the only officer there with a bunch of dudes. Yeah, and I was like, holy shit, you know. But yeah, but going back to you know going to private schools, I gotta ask this question, bro.
Go ahead.
I don't mean to be rude. You know, were you a top athlete basketball player at Palma, bro? Because you're tall.
No. You know, I played football freshman year, and you know that was like my title.
Right.
You know, anytime I got introduced, oh, this is the football player, and you know, it was a lot of pressure. I think being a bigger guy.
Yeah.
And you know, at the time, I didn't like school. You know, I don't like sitting in a room and not being able to talk. I want to talk.
Yeah.
And so it was difficult for me to just, I don't know if it was like ADHD, ADD, whatever it was, but I just didn't like school. And that would frustrate my parents because I'm one of those people I can read it once and then, okay, it's in here. And so it's like, you're lazy. You know, we're paying for this schooling and it's not cheap and you're not doing any homework. I do great on the tests, but I wouldn't do any of the homework. And so, you know, it was kind of a culture shock. But while I was there, he's like, you know what really makes me happy is golf. So I got into golf, and I had played in junior high, so I stopped playing football, and I just stuck with golf.
Did the coaches ever approach you to play basketball because of your height and anything like that? I'm sure they did, huh? Or they didn't?
I mean, they had asked, you know, if I was interested in everything, but at that point, I hadn't played, you know, didn't play freshman year, and then once I kind of got interested, they already had like their set players.
Right.
You know, they have their starting, and I was just kind of like, no, I'm good. And especially once I got into smoking weed, it was like I didn't want to do anything athletic. You know, I'm not trying to run.
Yeah. You're like, screw that.
Yeah, I was like, nah, golf's good. I can be chill.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned a culture shock when you were in the sheriff's department, yeah. Growing up, bro, did you have any Mexican friends, bro?
Oh yeah.
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 So you were like cool, but all the way to Palma, you were like it was different. I'm just curious, bro, because me growing up, Palma, I had two friends in Palma. I remember one was Jeff, and then I forgot the other guy's name, but I met him because when PetSmart opened, they got a job there, you know, and I met both of them, and I was always curious, you know, to know like you know, because you always see right who go there, who could attend that school, right? Yeah. But then as the years went by, I started seeing more people, more
Diversity.
Yeah, diversity because my cousin, she's actually a cop now in Gilroy, PD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was shocked, dude. Like she had a great job, and I guess she wanted to change career or something she always wanted to do, and she's she's badass, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, you know, I see this girl working now and then doing all tactical stuff. I was like, shout out to you, Kat. But anyways, I think my uncle told me that she got a scholarship. She was actually going to Alsa High School. They saw her how great she was, and they offered her a scholarship at Palma.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
You mean for Notre Dame?
Yeah, Notre Dame. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Notre Dame. So it's like I started seeing that a lot, even with students nowadays. So it's like, oh, okay, I like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because growing up, bro, going to the public school, they always, people talk shit about schools, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Especially
why.
Palma.
Yeah, hey, but you know what, bro? They're good on sports, bro.
Yeah.
They're really, really good on sports. Like that championship game or was division. I forgot what it was. It was Alice versus Palma last season.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that stadium was packed.
Yeah.
And that game was awesome. You know what I mean? But they have good athletic program.
Yeah,
I
they
like
do.
that. I like that. And then it's just what I wish I would have gone to Palma. I don't know. My dad would have been able to afford it, but I'm sure back then was maybe to your parents was expensive, but like
Yeah,
compared to now is not that expensive.
No,
you know
I
what
mean, it was definitely cheaper back then. And, the education, there were times where every course there is basically college prep.
Really?
Yeah. And so there'd be times where I'd have people from like public school, they're like, oh, I'm in AP. And then I'm correcting their papers for them. And so, I've had friends that went to, Sac State, Davis, different colleges. And they're like emailing me their papers, hey, can you go over this real quick?
Yeah.
And so it's like, after that, I didn't want to go to college.
That was also going to be my next question. You don't
Yeah.
want to go to college?
No, it was like I had to work. There was a lot of schoolwork with Palma. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? I need a break. And at that time, I was already working. I've been working since I was 14. Mm-hmm. I worked at my mom's office when she was in ag. I was working in the cooler, packing broccoli. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, you know what? I want to make money. So I just continued to work. And then I was like, college just isn't for me.
That's crazy, bro, because, I thought I was the only one that had to go through that because college, to me, dude, it never caught my attention. My mom and my dad always wanted me to go to college, even though I went to hard now.
Yeah.
But I couldn't be in class, dude.
Yeah.
And sometimes I blame my dad for it, bro, because I remember when I wanted to be a gangster, my dad, caught me and he gave me a pretty good beating.
Yeah.
And then he took me to work. And I fell in love with work. I fell in love with the money because now at that point I knew I didn't need them no more.
Yeah.
Like, hey, mom, go buy a pair of shoes. Hold on to the next pay period. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Now it's like I had money. And I was like, let's go, buy my own shoes. I don't know if you ever seen the flea market right there on Sandmore back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, I used to work there on the weekends, getting paid $15 a day.
Wow.
$30, Monday I'll be walking with $30 in my pocket, all cool guy, you know what I mean? Yeah, but back then $30 was pretty good,
Yeah, I mean, being like a junior, senior in high school, sophomore, and everyone's like, oh, man, I can't even afford cheese fries in the cafeteria. And I'm like, I got this. I got this.
Well, yeah, on my junior year, I was working at PetSmart. Junior going to senior year, I was working at PetSmart. Yeah, and it felt good having money. It felt good being able to buy your friends McDonald's. You know what I mean? Yeah, it felt good. So, obviously, you mentioned you didn't want to go to college. You were done. You were done with school. You had a lot of work in school. Obviously, Sans Palma was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Homework. So you started working different jobs. Obviously, we met on Home Depot, and then after that, so you went over briefly your sheriff's department career, right?
Yeah.
The reason why you did it because, you had somebody at that time. You wanted to take her seriously. You wanted to be able to offer something for her career-wise. Like what was it? Like a big commitment. You know what I mean? Yeah, because when you get married, bro, it's a big commitment, right?
And it was, I didn't want to go to her dad and be like, hey, can I have permission? What do you do for a living? I sell cell phones. And, it's like, I wanted to be someone that they could be proud of, that they could feel secure. Like, you know what? Absolutely. And, you started taking a lot of pride in it, especially when I would see how people would react when they said, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going through the backgrounds for the sheriffs. And they're like, oh, my God, especially family. They're all proud.
What was your dad's reaction when he found out? Did you tell him or you just apply?
No, I told him.
What was his reaction?
He was excited and just kept saying, like, oh, that's a great career.
Was
You're
your
really
dad-
going to love it.
Was your dad retired by then or he was still working?
He had retired, I think, a year or two prior to that. And at the time, I think he might have been on city council.
Okay.
Because he was city council for one term. But no, after he retired, he had his own PI business and he was running with that.
Wow, that's nice. All right, bro. So you're in the sheriff's, finish the academy, graduate. walk us through your first day on the job, dude.
Well, we had, as soon as you get out of the academy, then you go into FTO. So you're in a field training program. So
Right.
you have different FTOs, and they're running you through different parts of the jail. There's receiving, there's the wings, main jail, dorms. I mean, all these different sections. So you get trained on each of them. And, you know, a lot of it is they want to see if you can handle yourself. You know, the pressure, you're outnumbered probably about 120 to 1. So, you know, you got to have some
Some thick
command
skin.
presence,
Really?
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they sense it, right? They'll be able
God,
to
yeah.
smell you out right away, huh?
Yeah. And especially if they see that you're on FTO, it's like,
Dude, like, that's like
Yeah.
free game for them, huh?
yeah. So, you
Sheesh.
know, they'll test you. And sometimes the FTOs will kind of be like, you know what? Push his buttons a little bit.
Really?
You know, just to see how you react. To see, you know, because you're going to go through a lot of stress and see if you can keep a cool head, if you can, you know, help your partners, you know, your officer awareness, making sure that you're keeping track of your surroundings. And, you know, there's a lot to do, you know, especially working in the jail. I mean, there's the hourly checks, there's feeding, there's different doctor's appointments.
What was your schedule when you first started? What was your schedule? Were you working night shifts or?
After I finished FTO, yeah, I was working nights.
Because FTO is during the
weekends.
day, huh?
Well, it's both.
Both? Okay.
Yeah, so they'll take you from one team to another. It was A, B, C, and D. So after I finished FTO, I went on to D team. So I was working the weekends, working nights, 7:30 at night, 7:30 in the morning, but then getting held over to do a 16. So then you work until 11:30 in the morning, and I stuck with the nights. You know, I never went to days after that.
Why was that? Just because it was easier?
One,
or?
I was a night owl. Two, I just kind of liked the calmness. You know, there's just something a little bit more peaceful. You know, less contact with the public. It's all about you and then the inmates and then your team. So, you know, during the day, you got to deal with, you know, visits, a lot of strip searches.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Especially when they had contact visits, you know, you're dealing with 80 inmates out there, and then when they come back in, they all have to be strip searched. So just kind of like 1, 2, 3, okay, next. And it's like, you know what, I like my nights, and I got really close with my partners because especially the guys that I went to the academy with, they were on the same team, so I was close with them, and then I just didn't want to leave. It was about 2 years into my career. I got onto B team, which was nights but weekends off. So I had every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and every other Monday off. So I was like, originally I wanted to go to patrol. I wanted to follow in my dad's footsteps, become a detective. But then I was like, you know what? I like these weekends off. So that's what I stuck with for a majority of my career.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you earned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you earned it. Yeah. Wow. During your career in the sheriff's department, do you remember a time that you have a memorable moment that happened to you or a rewarding moment?
You know, it was a big culture shock for me because, like I said, I never dealt with gangs and everything. And, you know, once you get into a few fights, then it's kind of like, okay, this isn't so bad.
So you got in a fight too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fights were daily. You know, especially if you're working the intake area, you get, you know, drunk people, borrachos coming in, and they want to mouth off. But, you know, there's always a fight somewhere. When you have 1,200 inmates in a jail, you know, not everybody's going to get along.
Right.
And, yeah, so, I mean, there were a lot of fights. And for a majority of, you know, my childhood and everything, I never got into a fight, especially because people were like, he's fucking big. I'm not trying to get at that. And so then, you know, getting into the career, and then, you know, the things you see, you know, you see overdoses, you know, you're doing CPR to people that are dead, you know, they overdosed, they did suicide, and you're just dealing with everyone. I mean, murders, rapists, child molesters,
Everything.
And, you know, that was kind of one of the things in the academy is that they kind of train you to just kind of be numb.
Right.
And then that's what ended up happening in my career, is that I just got numb to everything.
Right.
It's like, okay, we respond to a fight. Everybody's, bloody, getting into cuffs, do this. Oh, okay, you got to go do your hourlies. And then you got to go feed. So there's like no time to process. It's all this stuff going on, and there's just always boom, boom, boom. It's not like, hey, how you doing with that? Are you okay? Yeah.
So after the second year, you became numb, or was right off the bat the first year?
No, it took a few years before I really got numb.
Because I have a good friend of mine that I met. He's actually way younger than me, and we used to work together on the weekends. A little part-time job that we had, and his dream was to become an officer. He worked, saved money, then he put himself through the academy. He graduated, he worked for the city, didn't went his way. The city special, right?
Yeah.
Some officers are really, really special, so he didn't make the cut because of their likings.
Yeah.
He ended up joining the sheriff's department. Great kid. He's still till this day, he's an awesome kid. I love that guy. But I feel that he loves the sheriff so much, but being in a different law enforcement before he made the jump to the sheriff's kill his morale of being a cop, or kill that dream motivation. Like, when you're growing up, bro, you're like, oh, I'm gonna be a cop, I'm gonna change the world, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I want to save people, and I felt like when he joined that because I don't want to name names, bro.
Yeah.
He joined that one company. I saw that dream die with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now he's in the sheriff's department. He's still a great kid. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it's just, I wish he would have gone in the sheriff's department first, because I know, a lot of friends that I have that are in the sheriff's department, they love it.
Yeah.
One of them is a detective already, dude. I would never imagine the guy be a detective, but he's a detective,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, and it hurt me, dude, because I saw this kid work his butt off to pay himself through the academy, and for them to be treated like that and then kill that dream, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking how long it took you to become numb, because I've seen it, bro. I've seen it with some officers. I got to see it with nurses, especially in the trauma center and the ER, dude. I remember one time I needed to take, I was just taking extra classes, dude.
Yeah.
And I took an EMT class, and I had to do internship hours, and I did it at Natividad Hospital, the trauma center, bro. I get there at 7 a.m, checking with the lead nurse. All right, Jose, you're going to be with this girl. Awesome girl. I think her name was Priscilla. Shout out to Priscilla. Excuse me. Dude, I saw so many shit, bro. I was just like, by 8 o'clock, I texted my wife. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Right? It does take a little bit. But, when you're constantly on the move and you see things, you've seen it twice, 3 times, and then it gets to the point where it's like weird if you don't see something like that.
Bro, I saw a lot of crazy stuff that day, dude. I saw the first one was a lady that passed away. She got in a head-on accident. And seeing the firefighters working on her, and the staff taking over.
Yeah.
And then getting to experience the husband grieving, being told the news, and the doctors all numb about it. Like, what? I remember, dude, he just cleaned off his shoes with the blood. And taking his gown, putting another one. So like, all right. And then just walking like his dad was like, you know? So it's like I could literally see, how you got numb so quick,
Yeah. And it took me a while to even realize how numb I was.
Really?
Especially because sheriffs were hanging out with sheriffs.
Right.
Especially when you're on the same schedule as other people, it's like every Friday morning when we be getting off, we go do breakfast beers. So, we're going to Black Bear, we're having beers with our food, and we're basically just venting the whole week out. But when we're out of work, we're talking about work. So it was like there was never a break. But, things that we saw, they had seen too. So it wasn't like, oh, okay, they're shocked to hear what I've gone through. And it wasn't until probably years later where I had sent my buddy, anytime that I was in group chats and Instagram, whatever, you're sharing videos of like, oh, that was crazy. And I sent my buddy this video, and he's not law enforcement, but he's been my best friend since kindergarten. And in the video, they're like in a subway. This guy takes out a knife, and they're challenging the other 2 guys. He gets stabbed in the neck, and he just bleeds out and dies.
I think I've seen it, yeah.
I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then I get it. Can I curse on here?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So he sends me a response, and he's like, "Why the fuck would you send me that?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "What makes you think that I want to watch a video of somebody getting murdered?"
Right.
And I was like, "It was nothing to me." You know, I wasn't like, "Oh, that was crazy. That was a murder." It was like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that all the time. Yeah, I see people get stabbed. I've seen people die." You know, it was nothing to me, and that's when it kind of hit. Like, wow, to the normal person, the person that's not, you know, doing the job, it's like shocking. Like they never want to see something like that. And I had grown accustomed to it to where it was like, okay, yeah, that was crazy. Let me go ahead and take my lunch break now. Or, you know, let me go feed Chow. You know, it was just, it was that common. And it was like, God, what is going on in my head?
Wow.
So, you know, it's not something that I ever thought I would get used to.
Right.
And, you know, it took a long time. It actually took me to going to therapy after my addiction problem, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah.
That I was able to process that, you know, stuff that I thought never bothered me. You know, it's like, you know what? That haunts me. That brought so much shame to me, you know, different things that I experienced. But, you know, it's part of like the job where it's like, you know, you don't talk about it. Or, you know, the thing with mental health where they're like, you know, you're going to see this all the time. You can't let it affect you. You got a job to do. And so, you know, that's what I did. I held everything in. You know, I thought that talking about it was weakness. You know, no, you don't talk about it. Suck it up, do your job, move on.
You know what? It's crazy that you say that, dude, because I remember when I was young, dude, I wanted to get into law enforcement.
Yeah.
But for some reason, dude, I couldn't pass a freaking test. I don't know if it was a sign from God or what, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I just couldn't. And then I met my wife, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this another shot. I applied for corrections. I passed. It's like, holy shit, I passed. out of 100 tries, I passed, you know? And again, I have good friends in corrections too as well. And I have a really, really good friend of mine. And I told him, hey, bro, I'm going to background, And then, is your girl okay with it? First thing he asked me, bro. I'm like, yeah, she says she's cool with it. She says she's supportive. So, no, you got to sit down with her and talk to her for real.
Yeah.
You got to let her know that, I'm like, what do you mean? And this is what he told me, bro. So you got to let her know that you're not going to be home.
Yep.
And the times you're home, you're going to be in a bad mood and you're going to be sleeping. And if you guys do have a family, you're not going to be there for your son's or daughter's birthday party. You're not going to be there for Christmas. You're not going to be there for Thanksgiving. Maybe if you get lucky and you trade with somebody, you will. But the first year, maybe second, third year is going to be tough for you and her. Let her know that it's going to be raw. You're going to see some shit that is going to affect you and then you might take it out of her. And I was like, why is he telling me this, right?
Yeah.
So I went home and I sat down with my wife and I told her, hey, you know, this is going to get real. Boom, boom, boom. I explained that to her and she's like, you know what? I'm glad you brought it up. She's like, I know, you know, it's going to be tough. And I've seen it with friends of mine, you know, and I've seen divorce and stuff like that. She's like, I don't know if I really want to go through that.
Yeah.
To a point where we're like thinking about going our separate ways, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that's what I wanted to do. And I was like, you know what? I'm old already.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't old like I am now, but I was to a point where like I thought about it more.
Yeah.
I was like, do I really want to take that risk? Do I really want to put myself like it wasn't in my heart anymore, like when I wanted to do it when I was young.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, you know what? I made the decision and I just didn't continue with it, bro. You know, and I think that's one of the best decisions I've ever done. Because who knows, you know, what would I have been at, you know, especially going through what I went through and going, let's say if I would have gone back to work, you know, I don't know how that would have affected my mental health state.
Oh,
you know
big time.
Big time, yeah. And it's just crazy that you say that, dude. But it happens. It happens, you know, and that's the next subject I want to dive into. So at what point you start falling down, bro? Like, at what point you're like depression, anxiety, everything just happened?
I think it started probably about my fourth year in there, third or fourth year. But I've always had sleep issues. You know, I have a hard time falling asleep because my mind was never stopping. You know, that hamster was always running in that cage. And, you know, I'd gone to the doctors, let's try this medication. You know, they had me on the strongest dose of sleeping medication, Ambien. I could take 3 of them. And
You wouldn't fall asleep, bro?
No.
But before Ambien, were you taking like ZQL?
No, they ZQL didn't even exist back then.
Oh, did it?
No, they had NyQuil, but yeah, this was a while ago.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
my bad, bro. NyQuil. All right.
Okay. Thanks for telling everybody how old I am. But yeah, I mean, none of that stuff worked. And then I tried, taking Ambien with alcohol, with beer. Maybe it'll intensify it and just knock me out.
Right.
And I think that was part of why I got into drinking pretty heavily, was that I was always trying to make myself fall asleep.
Oh, wow.
And, I was always going back to the doctors, and it was like, we don't know what's going on. We don't know why these meds aren't working. And so that's not a good thing. When you go to a doctor and they're like, I don't know what's wrong with you. It's like, well, great. So, it just started hitting me to where I was getting, maybe an hour, 2 hours of sleep a night. Sometimes I'd be up for 2 days, and this is before I started messing around with anything. And, it was just, I was just always like this walking zombie. And, I started like feeling like there was no hope. I'm never going to sleep. I can't go on like this, especially with a job where I'm supposed to be alert the whole time. I can't be half asleep.
You wouldn't even get like an hour in sleep or nothing, dude?
Sometimes I would, but I would wake up, and the medication, Ambien, can cause like some hallucinations, So yeah, there were some crazy nights, but I would wake up after like an hour, hour and a half, and I would just be like out there, I wasn't all there. So it was like, God, now I'm expected to go to work. So, started calling in sick, no, I need to get some sleep. I've been up for 2 or 3 days. And it was when I had my first anxiety attack. I had been up, my buddy and I were like, you know what? We haven't been in Disneyland forever. I'm like, I'm making good money at the sheriff's, let's just go. So we go up there, go to Glendale, spend all night partying, and came back to his aunt and uncle's house. And I slept for maybe like an hour, woke up, and I was like, God, I didn't realize how still fucked up I was. And I was like, man, Disneyland's still like an hour away. There's no way I can drive there. Like, I could barely drive down the street. And, I used to love taking like, Fedrin and all this stuff. So I love like the hypeness. And I just started feeling so off. And he's like, oh, it's just a hangover. I was like, dude, I've had a hangover before. That's not what's going on. Started getting the tightness in the chest, the tingling in the arm. So immediately I'm like, shit, I'm having a heart attack.
Right.
And, I'm trying to breathe. And I said, dude, you got to take me to the ER. He's like, no, you're good. Just drink another beer. I'm like, no, dude, like something's not right. And I seriously thought I was going to die. And he took me to the ER. As soon as you say there's something going on with your chest, they're like, okay, let's get him in right away. Like, no, you had a panic attack.
Wow.
And I had heard of them, but I had never had one. And that first one, it took me out for a couple of days, where I just stayed in the hotel room like I was done. And after that, the doctor put me like an antidepressant, and then gave me a small dose of Xanax to take, anytime as needed. If you start to feel it, take this and you'll feel better. And so that's when it kind of started spiraling out to where I was taking it more frequent, and the anxiety just kept happening. It was nonstop.
So Xanax is something to control anxiety, the panic attacks?
It basically stops it. So if you have like a little boo-boo, you put a Band-Aid and it covers it up.
Really?
That's basically Xanax. When you're in that mode, it just calms you down. 10, 15 minutes, and okay, I'm not going to die. I'm good. It just relaxes you.
It's crazy that right now how you described it, dude. I had mine at the bank. I was at the bank on the line, dude, and it just hit me, dude. And just, I don't even have to go into detail because you just went for it, dude.
Yeah.
And it's a shitty feeling, dude. It is. And I was like, I felt the same. I remember the security guard was like, dude, you okay? I'm going to call an ambulance. I was like, yeah, it's calling an ambulance. Because I thought I was going to die, bro. I was like, that's it. I'm done, But, yeah, it just takes me back, dude. And it's just like, man, you know what I mean?
And the thing is that I kept having more and more, and they were getting more severe, more frequent. So the doses kept going up higher. I tried to see therapists, but it wasn't working. I think part of it was back then, I wasn't really ready to open up about all the stuff going on. So if you're going to therapy and you're only giving them, 10% of the truth, they're only going to help you 10%. And you know, it was affecting my job at work. I'd be calling in sick, or I'm like, oh, I'm having an anxiety attack. You know, I need to take medication. And, you know, it was frustrating because people that don't understand anxiety, they're like, if it's all in your head, why can't you just turn it off? I was like, dude, if it was only that easy. But they're like, can you describe how it feels? I said, it literally feels like you're having a heart attack. I mean, I've never had one, but this is what I imagine it feels like. You feel like you're going to die. Like each breath is your last one. And sometimes I'd be talking to people, and then they'd come in and they'd be working with me like, dude, I had one. I'm like, what? And they're like, I understand. They're like, I took myself to the ER because that's exactly how it felt. And they're like, no, it was a panic attack.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, when that's happening every day, it was like every day I felt like I was going to die. And I think that's part of where the real depression came in, because it was like, I don't want to go through this every single day.
You were going through it every single day.
I was having attacks every single day.
Wow.
And the dosages kept getting higher and higher. And the thing is that some doctors, they're not really getting into what's really going on. It's, how are these meds working? Yeah. Those aren't working? Okay, let's go higher. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, new script. Yeah. And it was so easy for me to just say, you know what? I need a higher dosage. I'm like, oh, okay, let's try that. And so towards the last 2 years of me taking the Xanax, he was giving me 120 bars every single month. So I was taking 8 milligrams of Xanax a day. And it was like, God, this isn't how I want to live my life.
And it was not helping still.
No. I mean, it would help me, but I was always in like this slight comatose in a way, you know, and then I was out drinking with it, which makes it even crazier. Yeah. And, you know, it was kind of like my safety blanket. You know, I always had Xanax on me. You know, I could forget my phone, I could forget my wallet, my keys, but I'm not forgetting my Xanax. Wow. So it was always on me. And I knew, like, if I forgot my Xanax, I'd have to go home and get it, because there was just something about having it in my pocket. Like, you know what? If I go through anxiety, I got my pills, so I'm going to be good. And, you know, you never had to work through any of it. I didn't have to push myself, because it was just, oh my God, I'm going to die. Take a pill. Okay, I feel better. I'm going to live. So, you know, it wasn't a good life.
No, it wasn't, dude. I mean,
No.
shit. I mean, man, bro, like, sorry to hear that, dude. You had to go through that, because I know how it feels firsthand.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are not aware that I do suffer from panic attacks, anxiety attacks, whatever you want to label it. You know, some people label it anxiety attacks, others panic attacks. You know, it's a really, really shitty feeling, man. Really shitty feeling. And I have people always say, like, oh, dude, you're full of it. Or like, you know, you're weak, you know, and da-da-da. But I wasn't ever like that. You were never like that either. We were not ever like that. And something caused for us to feel that way. For you, obviously, it was the work, long hours, lack of sleep. Especially lack of sleep, because sounds like that's what triggers it for you. But for me, it was more like when I went through cancer. I don't want to relapse. That's my biggest fear, dude, relapsing, right? Or my lower back hurts. And it's like, oh, my God, am I getting cancer again? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like that triggers my anxiety attack. And I hate it, because a lot of people don't understand it. People think that, oh, you're just, like, again, you're weak. You're just weak-minded. You're weak-minded. And it's just like, no, fucker, you know, put yourself a needle here and have them inject venom in your veins for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And talk to me 2 days after that and see how you feel. You know? How about you try being in a whole week in the hospital, trying to figure out if this chemo is going to kill that cancer, and if you're going to make it through the next years. You know what I mean? And people don't think like that, dude, especially with officers too. Like, man, they're dicks. Or they're dicks, but man, they're not sleeping.
No.
You know what I mean? They've seen a lot of shit that we haven't seen. You know, I have a friend that he's I have a lot of friends that are law enforcement, bro.
Yeah.
He's like, bro, I get a call, dude, and they see me as a fucking Dr. Phil. They think I'm gonna fix their problems, you know, just because they got in a little argument because she doesn't want this and he wanted this, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can't fix your life. I'm here to protect the server. You know, so it's like the shit they go through, bro.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like nobody knows, and I'm glad you're bringing it out, and I'm glad that we're talking about it because, again, I feel that it gets overlooked a lot, And a lot of people
Absolutely.
think like, it's just now it's been a little bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how people see it. And last year, my wife got to see one firsthand from me, dude. I was on my way to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Got off of work. I was like, I'll pump, go to the gym. Bought myself a little rock star.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was like sipping it, bro, and I'm talking to her. And all of a sudden, I was like, whoa. Shit. And my wife's always wrong. And I was like, man, I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think I'm having a heart attack. And I was like, no. Let me call her back, you know? I can't remember if I hung up on her and I stayed with her, but I was able to Google how far was it Memorial Hospital,
Mm-hmm.
from Gold's Gym to Memorial Hospital. So right there and then I was like, if I'm able to Google, that means I'm okay.
Yeah.
And then I got to the parking lot. I was like, all right, bro, just breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. But he just got worse, dude, that I literally drove myself to the hospital. I told him, look, I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was an energy drink to trigger it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They put me all those thingies right here. And like 2 hours later, I come out and, yeah, anxiety attack.
Yeah. It is not fun. And, you know, for the longest time, when I'd be going to the doctors and then be like, I don't know what causes them. You know, I didn't know what my trigger was. You know, I knew that the sleep was definitely, because it's like, okay, I'm not sleeping. Tomorrow I'm a high number, so I may get held over. I'm going to have to do a 16, and I haven't slept. Oh, I got to make sure I wake up on this time, so I have to go to sleep at this time. And, you know, all that stuff just, you know, it adds up.
To this day, I don't know what triggers it, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I don't know what triggers it, but when I know it's coming, I try to see how much I can control it on my own.
Yeah.
I did talk to doctors and like, we could put you on medication. I didn't want to get a medication, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to figure this shit out. I need to know how to deal with it, right? But my anxiety was not as bad as yours, dude. Yours was like freaking next level, dude.
Yeah.
You know? But I figured that my comfort zone, I knew that my comfort zone was my wife.
Yeah.
You know, just hearing her voice. And she knew right away. And she'll start talking to me about some random stuff, bro.
Yeah.
That will keep my focus from it,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But when she's not around, I had to learn how to deal with it when she's not around. And sometimes people don't know this, and probably one of my good friends is here at the studio will know. It's like when I call somebody randomly, dude, hey, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I start talking, it's because I'm actually having an anxiety attack, you
Yeah.
know? And I'm trying to just forget about it, right? You know, so if you know I'm calling you.
Yeah, mine was always a text message. Are you awake or are you busy?
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, he's
Yeah.
going through it. Yeah, just talk to me. Just talk to me.
I never been vocal about it, bro. Because, you know, sometimes I call friends that I haven't talked to in a while.
Yeah.
And not because I haven't talked to them in a while, because you know you feel comfortable talking to them, you know. And it's hard for me to say it, but it's just like when I know my wife's not around and I call that person, you know, I'm going through it really, really bad. You know what I mean? But it just sucks.
It
sucks.
does.
It sucks, especially when people don't acknowledge it and know. You know what I mean?
And the thing is, too, is that even when I knew it was anxiety, I would try to tell myself, it's just anxiety. You know, it's going to pass. You're going to be fine. It's going to suck for a little bit, but you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But anxiety is also that asshole that's whispering in your ear, what if it's not anxiety?
Yeah.
You know, what if it actually is a heart attack? What if there is something wrong and you're not addressing it because you think it's anxiety?
Yeah.
And it's just like this back and forth conversation, like, stop,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it just makes it worse and more intense and more intense to where it's like, you just feel like, okay, my next breath, it's going to be, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And even breathing, it's like, I forgot how to breathe. You know, do I go through the nose or through the mouth?
Yes,
You know?
dude.
And, you know, all like just the common things that we go through is just like gone out the door because all
Yeah.
you can focus on is, I'm going to die.
Yeah. One of the things, too, that helped me out a lot was surrounding myself with people. But then it kind of was my downfall, too, dude, because I felt like I was depending on them a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I started going to the gym with one of my closest friends. We'll go in the morning, dude. But if it wasn't there in the morning, dude, I'll start freaking out.
Yeah.
And there was times where he was not there that I'll have one.
Yeah.
But I'll go to the sauna and relax.
Mm-hmm.
Or go walk on the treadmill. But I'll have that same thought. Like, what about if I fall here and that's it? Who's going to do CPR on me?
Yeah.
Hopefully that hot chick over there is going to do CPR on me. You know what I mean? But,
Yeah.
you know, but it's just, I felt it on the gym. But it's just now it's like, okay, I'm able to control a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're right. That asshole right there telling
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just like,
You're gonna die. It's
yeah,
not
you
anxiety.
fucking asshole.
And you know, and even things like back then, you know, my dad would be like, you know, why don't you take a walk? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm trying to keep my heart rate down. I'm not trying to
Yes.
go exercise. And what if I
Yes.
go down there and then I fall on the ground and I die there? And, you know, and then back then when somebody would tell me, you know, breathe, I'm like, bitch, please. That's the cure for my anxiety is breathing.
Yeah.
But then later on, when you learn those tools, it's like, wow, that's great. And it's funny what you said about the, you know, calling other people. And, you know, to me, I was like, poor me, I'm the victim. And my best friend, Francisco, shout out, he finally told me one day, because I was always reaching out, like, I'm going through this, and this is happening, and this is happening. And he finally had to tell me, like, bro, I love you, but you're messing with my mental health.
Holy shit.
And I was like, I didn't realize the effect that I was having on me venting. You know, I thought, poor me, I'm the one going through anxiety. I wasn't even thinking like, dude, he's got to listen to all my drama, all my problems every single time. He's got stuff going on too. Yeah. And, you know, you get lost in that. You get lost in your anxiety because you do play that victim of, you know, I'm the one going through it, not you. So at that point, I really had to like kind of take it back towards like, okay, I don't want to overdo it because, you know, I don't want to mess this guy up and then have him get into anxiety. But I was glad that he set that boundary with me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have kept doing it.
Keep doing it, yeah.
You know, like, oh my God, because it was even at the point where if they didn't answer, I'm like, I'm going through it. You know, why aren't you answering? Pick up. I need you.
Yes. Yes.
And it's like, God, poor people that I was called when I was going through it.
But for me, I never when I will call those individuals, I'll never tell them I'm going through a panic attack.
Oh.
I'll just have a simple conversation. That was my way for me to calm down.
Yeah.
If my wife wasn't available at that time, she wouldn't answer the phone. I'll be like, who am I gonna call? I'm calling my boy Nene, or call my buddy Angel, my compa Nacho, or somebody, dude, randomly. You know what I mean? Whoever comes in my mind. Well, let me call this guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's just, but they don't know. Now they know if they see this, they're going to see this episode and be like, oh, fuck, no wonder now. You better answer your phone next time, fool. Yeah. But now
you
that
know who you are.
Yeah, but now that you say that, babe, did I affect your mental health when I'm talking to you?
She's like, yup.
She's like, yeah. Nah. But yeah, dude. I mean, shit. But now, okay, let's move forward, bro. So you start drinking, you start adding drink to your Xanax, right?
Yep.
You start, so you can fall asleep. At what point it starts getting heavier on the drinking side that you're like, okay, this shit ain't working for me. Like, I need something stronger.
Well, it was that, and then, so much of it was I'm a sheriff. There's only so much that I can do.
Right.
So I was like, the Xanax prescribed, the alcohol, it's legal, and then it was kind of like, you know what? Let me try getting into like edibles. Let me try smoking weed, and that used to work for me back in the day. Well, weed today is not weed back then. It's not 5% THC mix that you're getting. It's 89, 85%. And my buddy had worked for a dispensary that made the edibles. Mm-hmm. And so, he's always bringing me samples, and I'm like, cool. And then that wasn't helping. Sometimes it would, and then other times, that's the thing with edibles, is that you take one and you're like, okay, that was cool. You take the same amount the next day and you're like, what the hell is going on? And sometimes it would throw me into anxiety. Mm-hmm. And so then the depression just kept getting bigger and bigger, to where I was always the designated drunk driver, because I wouldn't speed. I would always go the limit, but I was going out every weekend, and I was going hard. My boys at Salinas Valley, they were always on the same schedule as me. So weekends come, we're partying, we're going out drinking, and then we're gonna end at somebody's house drinking, and I'd still be going hard and until everybody else fell asleep, and I'm just kind of like, shit. And it was probably about my last 2 years in the sheriff's, and we go back to my buddy's house, and we're not going to name any names, but I always knew I never wanted to try cocaine because I have an addictive personality. Mm-hmm. When Dennis gave me Norcos, I love Norcos. I love Vicodin. I love it if it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I shouldn't do it, but I was drunk. And he's like, oh, just this little bit, a little key bump.
Yeah.
I tried it. And that's when it was like,
You're like, whoa.
yeah. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can talk forever. Let me tell you stories about everything that's happened in the past 6 hours. And, you know, then it was like, okay, you know, that was cool, but don't do it again.
Yeah.
And then next week when we're partying, oh, you want a bump? Yeah. And then it got to be where I was buying it on my own. And then it just got to where I was always using it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not depressed when I'm on it. You know, it makes me happy because it just numbed me.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't allow me to feel all the shit that I was feeling every day. You know, the depression, the being suicidal. You know, I didn't have to feel any of that.
Right.
And then that's when a lot of more of the shame came in. Like, dude, you're a sheriff and you're doing
Guilt.
like lines of coke.
Right.
You know, I was ashamed. Like, I'm disgracing the badge. You know, there's people in there that are in there for those charges. And here I am wearing a badge. And it just made it even worse with the depression, the mental health. It went to shit.
Wow. Hey, you know what, bro? My respects that you're okay sharing that, dude. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
You know, my respects that you're okay sharing that and admitting that, hey, you know, this is not good.
Yeah.
Because you did it because you were looking for another way of form of getting out how you felt mentally.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and a lot of people when they do coke, they do it for many other reasons, or they just do it because my buddy's doing it. Right?
Yeah.
The first time I did it, bro, was because I needed to drive from one place to another, and I was told that I was gonna give me like a little bump, and it did give me a bump, dude. So I started doing it more frequently was because I felt comfortable getting shit faced.
Yeah.
And knowing that doing a line or two, I could drive home like whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's the only reason why I got involved with it. Because I saw it, I was like, I could get drunk and I could drive perfectly fine.
Well, it was like, I'm sober, I'm fucked up. Do a bump. Okay, I'm sober again. This is amazing.
Yes,
You know, and you keep the party
yeah.
going.
Yeah,
It's
that's the reason why I did it. But you're right, dude. You could talk forever. You get the little extra, energy,
Yeah.
boost. But yeah, man. So obviously you start feeling ashamed. Depression kicks in worse. You know, at what point suicide thoughts come in your mind?
you know, for a while, it was probably about the last year before I finally attempted, but it was nonstop. It was like, what's my goal? You know, where do I see myself? And I didn't see myself. And then it got so bad where I was thinking about it every day. And I was like, okay, I don't want people to know it's suicide. So maybe I could accidentally,
Wait.
overdose.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you. So
Yeah.
you were thinking about it first,
Yeah.
and then your second step towards thinking about it was, how am I going to do it?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I was thinking about I didn't see any hope. This isn't going to get better. I'm not sleeping. This is the kind of shit I'm doing. Doctors don't know what's going on with me. I'm single. Can't get a girlfriend. I want kids. I want all this stuff. And none of it was happening. So it was just like, why am I even here? And I wasn't sharing any of my depression with everyone. I mean, everybody, after I did a podcast last year, people that reached out, they were like, wow, I had no idea, because you're always laughing, you're always having a good time, joking around. And, they used to call me Deadpool, especially when that came out, because they're like, dude, that is you.
That is right.
Like-
you put two and two together. Yes.
You can never be serious. And I was like, no, I can't. I mean, there could be a riot going on and I'm going to be like saying some sort of sexual crazy ass comment. And so I was like, you know what? How can I do this to where my family's not going to feel bad? And that was my thing. I always looked out for everyone else but me. I got to make sure that this person's taken care of. This person's happy. Oh, this person needs to talk. I'm here for you. But I wasn't there for myself. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe I could make it look like an overdose. And that way nobody feels bad until it was accidental. And I think that's why I got heavier into the drugs. Is there was part of me that was kind of hoping like this is going to be the last one. And, then it got to the point where, I had the gun in my hand.
Really?
Yeah. This is the night that it happened. I was living with my parents at the time because I was so depressed. I couldn't be alone.
Right.
And my mom went off to bed. And, usually when she went to bed, her phone was in the kitchen. She wouldn't see it till the morning. And that night she said, good night. And I responded, goodbye. And for some reason, she said something made her go check her phone. And she saw it. And I was out in the driveway. And I erased my phone, did it to reset where there's no pictures, no numbers. And I had my gun in my hand. And I was just breaking down. And I was like, if I'm supposed to be here, let me know, just asking for a sign. Because I didn't really want to die. Right. I just couldn't handle it. And my dad came out and, told my mom, stay in the house. He saw the gun and he was like, oh my God. And, I can always replay it back in my head because I remember him saying, don't do it, it'll get better. And I said, no, it won't. And he said, let a father hold his son one more time.
Ooh, dude.
Yeah. And he said it again and he repeated it and it just kept replaying in my head. And eventually I emptied the magazine, racked out the one in the chamber, unlocked the door, and just grabbed onto him.
Wow.
And I think that's where the whole kind of healing process started. I was still doing the coke, but it was probably about a month after that I went to a drug rehab.
Let's dive into that, bro.
Okay.
So, damn, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks. That really,
Yeah, I've told that story before with older gentlemen on the golf course, and they're like in tears, like,
bro.
Fuck.
I'm just still sweating, guys. The sweat coming to my eyes.
Yeah. Why you crying?
It's the sweat, bro. It's the light. All right, bro. So you went through the hardest part of your life.
Yeah.
Where
absolute rock bottom.
Yeah, the rock bottom. You're the lowest of the lowest, the darkest day of your life, and you see a little bit of light by hugging your dad.
Yeah.
Obviously, you mentioned you're still doing drugs. You're still doing your thing. At what point you say, you know what, bro? I almost took my life away. It's time for me to get my shit together.
It actually didn't happen that way.
Okay.
It was, I still thought, you know what? I can keep doing coke because it makes me happy. And at that point, I left the sheriff's office. I resigned. Like, I got to get out of there for my mental health. I keep getting doctor's notes like, he's got to be out of work. He can't handle his anxiety. And it was 3 days after my birthday, July 8th. It was July 11th. And we were celebrating my birthday with the family. And, of course, I always had my Coke with me. And we were at, I think it's Dust Bowl.
Okay.
And my cousins saw me doing it, and I was like, yeah, I just did a bump. And normally I wouldn't tell anybody unless I knew they were doing it.
You had your necklace with the key right here.
No, I used to keep it in a Camel snooze can. So they just thought it was, chewing tobacco. And so, it was the next day, and I'm on the couch, and, my parents come into the room, and my mom's like, we need to talk. I was like, oh, shit. So she's like, we were talking with your aunt and some of your cousins, let them know that you're doing cocaine. And I was like, snitch motherfuckers.
Fucking dudes, bro. They ready you out.
And I was like, oh. And, immediately I go into anger. Like, when I find out who did it, I'm going to beat the shit out of them. And, at first she gave me the option because we had a family friend that runs the detox center. At least back then it was just a detox center in Hollister. And they're like, she said that they have a bed for you. And I'm thinking like, fuck, I ain't trying to go to a fucking rehab. And I had this stereotype in my head when I was a sheriff that when people would go off to programs, it's going to be a bunch of Dave Chappelle scratching their neck. That's what I thought rehab was.
Right.
And so I was like, no, I'm getting better. I'm already doing less coke than I was before. I'm doing less Xanax. I can do it on my own.
Like, I'm doing 2 lines now instead of 7.
Yeah. And so she's like, okay. And then comes back 10 minutes later. You got to go. Right. So, I was pissed. But I was like, you know what? Fine. I'll go do it. I'll do the 7-day detox, come home, get on with my life.
Right.
And about second day in there, the owner, Cherie, she was like, I was talking with your mom, and they'd like you to get off the Xanax. And I lost my shit. I was like, I'm already in here for coke. I don't want to be here. And now you're going to take my safety blanket away? I've been on this stuff for 11 years. Right. I was like, you know what? if I'm going to do it somewhere, it's got to be in a medical facility where they can check on me, make sure I'm actually not dying. And once I started getting a clear mind, you know, I was doing coke literally every single day. I was doing edibles every single day. I mean, plus the Xanax. I was always just in this zombie comatose, but awake, up for 3 or 4 days at a time.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And so once I started getting that stuff out of my system, she said, you know, what would you think about going to a program? And initially I was like, hell no, I'm not going to a program. And then it was kind of like, you know what? I don't know how to control my anxiety. In reality, if I leave this program, I'm going to go home and I'm going to go get my refill on my Xanax because I have no idea how to process it other than taking a pill. So I said, you know what? I'll go to a program. So I went to My Time in Fresno, residential program, and that's where I learned how to control my anxiety. And one of the biggest things is, you know, one of the counselors said, what's your fear when you go through anxiety? I said, well, that I'm going to die.
Right.
And so I remember what he had told me was, you can Google it as soon as you get your phone back because you don't get phones in rehab.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Which is amazing. And he said, you can Google it, but no one statistically has ever died from anxiety. Yeah. So no matter how bad it gets, keep telling yourself you're not going to die. And that actually helped, you know, telling me. And then there was the whole breathing. But the biggest thing was getting all the trauma that I had in my head. You know, I packed everything up for so long with the sheriffs, with, you know, stuff that happened at home, with friends, and I never let any of it out. You know, when I would go to therapists, I was doing lines in her bathroom and then going and talking to her. So it's like, you know, I wasn't really giving it what you're actually supposed to do in treatment. Right. It was more of like, how could I bullshit this lady enough to where, you know, my parents think I'm getting help, but I can still get high. And so that's where I learned to control it. And, you know, I ended up leaving the program early because of insurance. Insurance is fucked up. When it comes to treatment, you know, I was on Xanax for 11 years and the counselors were saying, oh, he's doing really well. He's doing this. Like, okay, he doesn't need treatment anymore. And they're like, yeah, he does. But insurance, nope, we're not going to pay anymore. So, you know, I see that where I work now is that there's clients that they want to be there. They know they need the help, but insurance doesn't cover. And that's expensive. I mean, trying to pay that out of pocket, no, that's not going to happen.
Insurance is one of the biggest scams out there, dude.
It is.
I mean, I remember when we got our first bill being at the hospital for treatment, it was $127,000. And then I was reading it. I was bored one day at the house, and I was reading it every line by line. Thumbs. You know those thumbs for heartburn?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, my accent, bro, but I can't pronounce it correctly. But
Thumbs.
Yeah, there you go. They were charging. I'm not making this up, dude. They were charging the insurance carrier $75. $75, dude. Tylenol pills, dude. Wow. They were like almost $80-something. Every little thing that was generic. So guess what I did the second round of chemo that I did? I packed my backpack with
Tums.
With what was it, Minilax for? Because you get constipated when going through chemo, bro. So I'll give myself Minilax because every pouch they put me there, dude, it was like $50. So I packed my own stuff. You know, my own vitamin D3, my own B12, not the ones they were giving me. And I had to do it when they were not looking, dude. But during my third round, they found my bag. They're like, oh, no, you can't be doing that. I'm like, why not? It's the same shit you guys are giving me. But you guys are charging it triple, quadruple the price. But then my second bill went down to like 100. And then the third bill went down to like 87.
Yeah.
Because I stopped eating at the hospital, bro. Because the food at the hospital was like twice as expensive.
Yeah.
You know? I was like, let me get a filet mignon. Shit like this small, dude. It was like 2 bites, it was gone, you know?
Let me get that surf and turf.
Yeah, it's like, damn it. But yeah, the insurance is the biggest scam out there, dude.
It is. And it sucks when you have to, because there's some people, they don't want the help. You know, they're still having fun. Okay, whatever. But then you get somebody in there that's like, oh my God, I need this. I need this. And when you got to tell them, like, insurance isn't covering, and they're like, I got to go, like, I'm not ready. And, you know, you bleed for them because you've been there.
What do you do at that point, dude? Like, is there any other grants, anything out there like that could probably step in, or you just look the other way? Like, what do you do?
No, you don't look the other way. I mean, you try to fight for them. You know, there's people at the centers who that's their job is to contact insurance and be like, look, they still need this. You know, our recommendation is that they still need more time. And it's a constant battle. You know, sometimes the insurance will give in and be like, okay, we'll give them one more week or something like that. There's other companies that can do like a scholarship. Like, you know, okay, we're going to let you stay and it's on us. You know, it depends on, you know, different clients, and then Medi-Cal, you know, different insurance companies. Some are like, hey, stay as long as you need. Others are like, yeah,
Not
let's go.
So a detox center is a place, I'm assuming, my assumption, right? A detox center is a place you go and you try to like detox from all the drugs you're taking.
Yeah.
Do you take any like anything that they gave you to like detox, like juices or stuff like that? Or
Well,
what?
they give you certain medications, like even when you go into jail, you know, if you're going into county, they're giving you stuff that, you know, it's not going to make you feel nothing, but it'll take at least some of the edge off because, you know, people can die from withdrawals. You know, they can go into seizures.
Did you feel that you went through withdrawals those 7 days you were in detox or not?
I did.
Yeah.
You know, cocaine, you don't really detox off it. You just sleep a lot, which was perfect for me.
Right.
But it was the Xanax. You know, when I was taking so much every single day, and I didn't think I had a problem because like, hey, I have a prescription. You know, and that's what a lot of people think is, oh, it's being prescribed, so I'm not an addict.
I'm good. Yeah.
And so when I go from that to not taking it, and they have other stuff, you know, that can help kind of take the edge off, but it's nothing like Xanax. So, you know, I'm still kind of like forced to feel everything. And then that was probably the hardest part, is that I held everything in for 10, 11 years longer. And then now I'm not on it and everything's just coming out, like all the emotion, all the energy, just everything that I've kept inside. And it's a lot to handle.
When that energy came out, were you feisty, bro? Were you like aggressive when you were letting all those emotions come out, or you were just like?
Honestly, it was more of like, you know, I could probably reenact it, but it was more of like, I can't stop moving, and I would apologize like crazy. Like, I'm sorry. And they're like, no, you're good. And I'm like, no, I never normally do this. And I was just, because I thought I was going to die. So, you know, there were times where I would get a little irritable, like, don't tell me how to do this. You don't know what I'm going through. But for the most part, it was just scared, you know, constantly apologizing for everything. I'm sorry I'm talking so much. I'm sorry that I'm, you know, putting this on you. So it was just like apologetic, because I just felt like I was going to break down and cry like every single second of that going on.
So you did 7 days in the detox center, right?
Well, actually, I did 4.
4, and then you went to.
And then when the owner, Cherie, she said, you know, what's keeping you from going to a 30-day program? And I said, the money. You know, it's expensive, and I don't want my parents to go anymore in debt, you know, over this. And so she said, well, what if I could get you a scholarship? I said, what does that mean? It's like, you'll be covered. So right in front of me, 2 minutes later, okay, I got you a bed. I'm like, damn. Yeah. So she saved my life.
Right.
You know, I owe this.
Shout out to her.
Shout out to Cherie, Bright Future Recovery. She saved my life.
Right.
I wouldn't be here if it weren't for her. You know, she got me through it. She got me into the program because she knew that's what I needed. And so she said, okay, well, you still technically have 3 days of detox, but you can finish it over there. So I did that, went to Fresno. And, you know, it was an interesting part of life. You know, it was great to just have the structure again. You know, wake up at this time, go to bed at this, and the sleep did get to me in the beginning.
What was a typical day at the rehab?
Well, it was like you wake up at 6. By 7 o'clock, your bed has to be made. You have to be dressed, showered, and then you have to be into the first group. We would do a group at 7 in the morning, but it would be on Zoom. So all the other clients would be in the living room, and we would go through a group. And there'd be a bunch of other people from other houses, other areas. And then it's like, okay, after that, eat breakfast. And then you're going to do another group, and take a little break, and then another group. So there's a lot of curriculum, a lot of groups, and then you meet like one-on-ones with therapists who are getting the real stuff out.
Right.
Because they understand, you know, your problem isn't you being, you know, addicted to cocaine. That's how you deal with it.
Right.
The Xanax is how you deal with it. What's going on in here? What's going on in here? And being able to finally get that out, I remember the first time the counselor said, you want to talk? And I was like, yeah. And it was like, hour went by like that. I was like, that wasn't even scratching the surface.
Wow.
There's still so much. And, I'll still do therapy, but I did it solid for like 3 years.
3 years. But the first 30 days you did it, after your last day there, were you excited to come home? Or did you feel that, man, I think I want to stay here? Or you were scared to come back home?
I was nervous to come back home. They teach you about triggers, cravings, and they say, be careful when you go home with the triggers. Places that you used to get high and, you would use, try to stay away from those places. Well, I got high everywhere. So, everybody's bathroom, everybody's house, everybody's car. I was like, I'm going to have to sit underneath my kitchen table because that's the only place I didn't do coke. So I'm like, okay, Niner games. Yep, I do it. Niner games, go in the porta potties, bring it into the stadium. Disneyland. I snuck it into Disneyland, was doing it there. I was like, I can't think of any place that I haven't done it. So yeah, it was nervous. I didn't want to be around it. I try to prepare myself, but then there's also the friends. I don't want them to, think that I don't want to be around them or, if that's their thing. I just had to worry about me, but that's where I had to set the boundaries.
Was that hard for you to get away from that type of crowd?
Well, it was kind of like that. That was my life, for so long was my days off. I'm going and partying. I'm hanging out with all these people, sharing all these crazy stories. And, I had a lot of friends that knew I had a problem. Were trying to get me off. But when I was caught in my addiction, I didn't want to admit it. Like, dude, I could stop anytime I want. I just don't want to.
Right.
And so I did have that fear that I'm going to go back, I'm going to hang out with them, and I'm going to be like, okay, maybe I'll have one beer. And, alcohol at that point, once I started doing coke, alcohol was just kind of like the little side dish.
Right.
And I would only do it, and it wasn't even to get drunk. And so then I was like, or if, my buddies, they have, they got a bag and they're going to do it in front of me. But, everybody was supportive. When I told my friends, because like I said, you don't have your phone when you're in rehab. So when I turned it on after, 35 days of being gone, it's like phone is blowing up, where you at? What's going on? And they were happy, because they all know that I needed it.
Right.
And so they were all happy, and they were like, wow, I've been thinking about, going to a program as well. And they're like, you know what, if this is going to be too much for you, let me know. But that's where I had to set an exit strategy. I'm going to go to this party. I'm going to go to this baby shower. If they drink, that's fine. But if things start getting, a little crazy, or if I'm starting to feel uncomfortable, thank you for having me, but it's time for me to go. And I never had any bad reactions from it. My family, they're all winos, love their IPAs. And they're like, is this okay? I'm like, yeah, I don't care.
Fine. Yeah.
And so, it's been on the 12th of this month, it'll be 3 years, 3 months since I've had anything. Xanax, Coke, nothing but water.
Water, no beer.
No beer.
Wow.
No beer.
That's
no
awesome,
wine.
dude. Congratulations on that,
Thank
bro.
you.
All right, so you share your story as far as going through the detox to the center, coming back home, dealing with that issue with your friends, Did you feel judged at some point by your friends? Not, I don't mean judge, oh, look at him. No, but what I mean is I know you mentioned a little bit just briefly, but I'm trying to imagine myself being in a situation where I go to an event like baby shower or barbecue, right? And I'm there and everybody's fucking drinking.
Yeah.
Right? And I know some homies are, doing some lines here and there, and you can see them, you're like, yeah. Did you feel judged? Like, oh, dude, I was gonna give you a beer, but I know you're gonna drink. Or or they're doing this in front of you. You're like, you fucking assholes. You didn't feel like, no? Oh, okay.
No, I didn't have any of that. Everybody was completely supportive. All my buddies, that I got in my head. The biggest fear was the fear I put in my head, not what they put on me. And I think it was experiencing that and them being completely supportive where they were all happy. There wasn't one single person that was like, come on, dude, you could have one beer. They were like, no, that's awesome. Good for you. but I also never pushed any of my beliefs on them. It wasn't like, hey, you need to stop drinking too.
okay,
You need to do this.
Yeah.
Like, that's my thing. You do your thing. I'm not going to push my beliefs on you. But, it was more of just the only person who was hard on me was me.
Okay.
I'm the one that got stuck in my head like, oh, they're not going to accept me, or, they're going to make fun of me. They're going to think I'm a little bitch because I can't have a beer. But no, everybody was completely supportive.
I experienced that, dude, in business. I had friends that I thought that were my boys. But
Yeah.
when it came down to me focusing on my business and getting away from that life, getting away from going to the bar, drinking, and after beating cancer, bro, I was still like, I felt like I never started a new life. I felt like I just picked up where I left off. You know what I mean? I got judged, dude. I got judged like, oh, you think you're back because you're trying to be an entrepreneur, or like, oh, you think you're back because you didn't want to have I mean, I'll drink, bro, but I don't drink like I used to.
Yeah.
I'll have a beer, too, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Vegas 2 weeks ago. I mean, I had more than 2 beers, right? But now I'm conscious about it. I know how to control myself.
Yeah.
I know how to, like, do it. I don't want to sound stupid, but responsibly drinking, you know what I mean?
No, I mean, it makes sense because you're not drinking to get fucked. You're drinking to get, like, socialized.
Yeah,
Or you're drinking to actually enjoy, like, the taste of the wine rather than, oh, this tequila is going to get me fucked up. Let me drink more.
Yeah.
It's more of just to, like, socialize and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But not trying to get to that point where, I'm fucked up.
Yeah. Because now that we're older, bro, I mean, for me, dude, if I get drunk, dude, my hungover lasts like three weeks, bro.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
and that was one of the greatest things was like seeing other people the next day, they're all fucked up, and I'm like, I'm good.
Like whatever was up. So
Yeah.
who's opening the first beer?
Yeah. I'd be like, no, I'm good now,
Yeah.
Not experiencing that hangover because, those aren't fun, especially when you get older, and that was one of the scary things is I would never get hangovers.
I don't know if you remember this gentleman. He was, do you remember Jeff from Home Depot? He used to work in the Pro Desk. Jeff.
No.
He was a big old working white boy, bald with glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, his father-in-law at that time worked at Home Depot. I forgot his name, dude. But I used to call him Big Pimpin'. I call him Big Pimpin'. He was older, dude. I remember one time I showed up drunk. Me and Manny had an all-nighter. Remember Manny?
Yeah.
Manolo, the biggest triceps of all South County. We showed up to work, dude, and we put all night. And I remember he told me, so, how old are you? I'm like, I'm 20. He's like, enjoy it as much as you can, because once you hit 37, 38, 40, 41, the hangovers are going to be the worst. And I remember when I turned 37, dude, I woke up the next day hitting life like worse than ever, dude. And he came to my mind, you know what I mean? I was like, man, he was right. He was fucking right. You know what I mean? But anyways, bro, moving forward, you did your whole treatment. You're back in town. You're ready to rock and roll. At what point you're like, you know what? I want to give back. I want to do this. And you became an AOD, right?
AOD counselor, so drug and alcohol addiction.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to clarify that abbreviation. Okay.
Yeah.
At what point you're like, you know what? I want to give back. I want to help people. Like, what made you do that?
Being in treatment. Growing up, because I was always the person that people would talk to, easy to talk to, give great advice. And, so I was like, man, I want to be a psychologist. And then I saw how much schooling there was, and I was like, nah, I'm good. So then, when I was at the sheriff's office, a lot of times I'd just be having conversations with inmates, getting their story, hearing everything, understanding, like what goes on. And always came from a place of no judgment and respect. And when I was in treatment, especially when I went to Fresno, there was a client there who was having issues about going from the house that we were at, the first one that's like a detox residential, to like the next step. And I had a conversation with her, outside, because she was like, no, I can't go there. It's triggering. I have memories of I've been in there before. And I talked to her, and later on, when we're doing our like debrief, like, oh, how was your day? She was like, I was talking with Matt, and he kind of made me realize that I needed to go create new memories, and he helped me. And then people started being like, can I talk to you? And I'm like, damn, this feels good. And the director at the time, before I left, he was like, I want you to work for us. Get a year under your belt, come back. I want you to be a counselor. I think you'd be amazing at this. And then when I got back and I started doing an outpatient program on Zoom, had a client, other people in there, and they started giving me like accountability buddies. Not really a sponsor because I barely had that much time, but someone that, if they needed to talk to, keeping us sober. And everyone just kept saying like, dude, I want you to work for us. Oh, I want you to work for us. I want you to do this. So I was like, you know what? Maybe this is my calling. Maybe this is why I didn't pull the trigger that night. When I was asking, like, if I'm supposed to be here, let me know. And so I felt like, you know what? This is what I'm meant to do. The same way that I was saved, that's what I need to do. And especially because nobody was talking about mental health. There wasn't a class back then like, hey, deputies, you're going to be going through a lot of shit. Make sure you get that out. Talk about it. It was just very like machismo, almost like, no, you don't share your feelings. Stop being a little bitch. And so I wanted to get the word out that mental health is huge. It takes a lot of strength. People would see like sharing as weakness, but it takes strength. It takes strength to say, you know what, I'm not okay. I need help. And so that's why, especially with law enforcement, I thought I was so alone being an addict. And then you read later on, like 7 out of 10 first responders have an addiction problem. So I was like, oh, okay. I don't feel so bad anymore. I didn't feel alone. And I think that that's the case with a lot of men, but law enforcement, feeling alone, feeling like you're the only one that's going through that. And I wanted to get the word out, and I wanted to tell people coming in, you're not alone. And when I would share my story, I had people reaching out like, wow, that's an inspiration. I've been holding this back. And actually at the sheriff's office for their jail ops program, they show my podcast that I did with Cherie, like as part of the training, like this can happen. This is what can happen if you don't let it out, if you don't talk to someone. If you're going through something, go talk to someone. Don't let it build up years after years to where it turns to where you're not okay. And suicide is feeling like your only option.
I mean, every time I hear about, husband of 3 or husband of 2 committed suicide, and then I hear the story of the wife, I didn't know he was going through it. I didn't know he was suffering mental health, and it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart, and that's what we're here, bro. We're talking about, my goal is to bring more awareness to men's mental health. And every opportunity that I have, I always bring it up.
Yeah.
I always bring it up, dude. I don't give a shit what they think about me, dude. I always bring it up, and it's important, dude.
Yeah.
It is important. And my respects to you. My hat's off to you, even though I'm not wearing a hat.
Thank you. You tip it.
Yeah, but that you're doing that you found your calling. Obviously you went to Catholic elementary, Catholic high school. Somehow he managed to show up and let you know, hey, you know what I mean? He revealed himself in many different ways, and he was able to reveal himself to you in many different ways by having your dad there, giving you the right words you want to hear at the time you wanted to pull the trigger, and by having people coming to you and, hey, man, I feel great talking to man, and you, hey, is this my meaning? Is this my calling? You know what I mean? So that's just amazing, dude, and my hat's off to you, bro. My hat's off to you to that. So now, let's get into men's mental health a little bit, bro. I mean, shit, this conversation is going really, really good, dude. Yeah. I'm just fired up, man. I think I could go on for another 2 hours, bro. We're already an hour and 30 minutes. I'm sorry, production. I'm sorry.
You could have episode 2, episode 3. Yeah. Make it a trilogy.
But let's dive in a little bit about men's mental health. We already shared your story. Amazing story. Unless you won't have anything you want to say or bring out.
I mean, one of the things is that, I know a lot of times people get like the spiritual. For a while I had a bad relationship with God. I got my tattoos, Catholic, all that stuff. But, I wasn't talking to him. And it wasn't until I was in treatment and we were doing this program we'd have to do every week. And it was like, how many times have you talked to your higher power today? And how many times have you done this? And I was like, I haven't. Right. And I started thinking back. The only time that I was praying to God was when I did too much coke and I didn't want to die.
Right.
I'd be like, God, please get me through this. please let me get through this anxiety attack. Don't let me die. And I swear I'll never do coke again. And then I'm okay. And it's like, I was just bullshitting,
Yeah,
go back to doing it.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was always lying to him. It was only when I wanted something. It was
Yeah.
don't let me die and let me win the lotto. Those were the only two things.
It's our human nature, bro.
Yeah.
It's our human nature, and we're gonna continue doing it, because we know he's there.
Yeah.
And not only that, but for me, when I was diagnosed with cancer, bro, and I was going through my darkest moments where I felt like shit, I didn't want to see nobody, dude. I completely shut down. I was throwing up. I was on the floor. I was weak. I couldn't get out of the bed, stuff like that. I didn't want to pray to him because I felt I was being a hypocrite. I felt like, why am I going to reach out to you now on my darkest moments when I never did when I was okay?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then again, I came to a realization that, hey, I'm going to be here for you no matter what.
Yeah.
I've had off and on relationships with God, where, just like you, hey, take this bad habit from me, and I'll be cool. And then after that, shit, I'm doing it again. You know what I mean? And it's just human nature, but that's the beauty of knowing. Don't want to get religious on everybody because everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my God, Jose's a free,"
Yeah. Politics and religion.
Yeah. But this is our viewpoint, right? It's just that's the beauty, bro, knowing that he's always there.
Yeah.
And he shows himself to us in many different ways, and he has shown himself to me in many different ways, blessings after blessing. A good example, dude, blessing here with this production crew.
Yeah.
That's a big blessing for me. You know what I mean? So the fact that you accept that and you realize that, like, oh shit, I haven't talked to him. Now I hope you do have a relationship.
Now it's like 5 or 6 times a day.
Yeah, that's
and the
perfect.
big thing and part of that was my gratitude.
Right.
Is I was always complaining. So it was nothing but negative energy coming at me. To where now, I'm grateful for everything. I'm grateful I get a good night's rest. I'm grateful that I made it to work, and not a car accident. Just everything being grateful for. Not about being rich, but being able to live, being able to have the
Enjoy
opportunity
life,
to make money.
Yeah.
So yeah, I talk to him all the time.
Nice. That's beautiful, bro. That's beautiful.
And he also put me at the because that was the first Relay for Life that I'd been to since it was at Harnell, and then running into you.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, you're like, oh, I'd love to have you on the show. And I'm like, fuck yeah, reach more people. Reach more people and let them know. Go out there, get help. It's not girly. It's not bitch shit. Talk about your problems. Get it out.
Yeah. Just like they I hate this term they use at the rodeo. Real men wear pink.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But anyways, bro, let's dive in a little bit into men's mental health, and then we'll close it out, bro. Why do you think men often struggle to open up about their mental health issues?
I think because it's the stereotype that it's weakness. Men always feel like they have to be the one that, I wouldn't say holds the family together, but, they're the ones that are supposed to be the protectors. The mothers, are the comforters and make you feel nurturing and love. And then fathers protect and men protect. And so they grow up thinking, this is weakness. I shouldn't be feeling like this over that. And then they get caught up in their friends. Like, oh, he's not having the issue. Him and I are going through the same thing and he's fine. So why am I having an issue? And then, of course, there's the people that don't really think before they talk. And it's like, I'm going to one of my boys like, man, that shit really fucked me up. Like, really? Stop being a little bitch. That was nothing. That was nothing. And so then you're not getting your feelings validated. And so you're thinking every single weak thought I have is just weak. And we don't talk about it. We just push through and move on. And, they get to that thing where, they feel like sharing feelings is, like you say, girly. Girls do that. Girls talk about their feelings, not men. Men keep it all in. Men hold it down.
Yeah.
And so, they get that stuck in their head that if I speak about it, then I'm weak. People are going to think I'm weak.
Right. I know that, my next question will be how can we break the stigma surrounding men seeking help for mental health? Obviously, we've been talking about it. Just talk, don't be scared, pretty much answer that question 100 times right now in this conversation we had. But, what would you add to that, obviously? I would like to get your intake on that one.
Talk to someone. If it's a best friend, a relative, seek therapy as well. I mean, with me, therapy was huge. And what I found is that one, be honest. If something's really messing with you, if something's really screwing with your head, be honest and say, yes, this is screwing with my head.
Right.
Be honest, and then find a therapist that, you can click with. There were times where I was going to a therapist and, her eyes are like starting to shut while I'm talking. And I'm like, I'm spilling my heart out to you right
It's just
now.
all dozing
And you're
off,
like
bro.
dozing off. So, I had to find the therapist that they gave me when I did my outpatient program. And she was amazing. I mean, she got so much stuff out of me. And it was because we were able to click.
Right.
And so when she would say something, I would actually listen. But don't hold it in. Don't think I'm gonna hold it in and eventually over time it'll go away, because it doesn't. There was stuff that happened year one of at the sheriff's, and then 15 years later, I'm talking to a therapist and I'm like, wow, I didn't even realize that affected me. That because there was no time to process. It was go through it and everyone else is cool. Yeah, that was fun. But then when you start talking about like, wow, I didn't realize how much that affected me.
Right.
So there's stuff that you guys are going through right now that you don't even realize is affecting you. So get it out, talk, get help. Don't wait until it's too late and you're sitting with that gun in your hand. Don't let it get to that point. It does get better.
Yeah, it does get better. The light will shine eventually. The storm will pass, right?
Yeah.
The storm will pass.
This too shall pass.
Obviously, men feel pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure, and the best way we could address this again is just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid and to seek help. Make that change, because it's gonna help. Not only is gonna help you, it's gonna make you a better person, and your family's gonna see that.
Yeah. And reach out to someone. I mean, I've had people reach out when I did my other podcast, like, just for advice.
Right.
Like, okay, do you have any suggestions for this, or how did you, get through this point, or, you can always reach out. I mean, I don't know if you tag like
Oh yeah,
my
dude,
social media.
Trust me, we're gonna do a big old was it marketing?
Okay.
Do a big marketing. What changes would you like to see in how men's mental health is addressed in society?
Is that it's not a weakness anymore. That it's encouraged to share. Especially with law enforcement, first responders, the stuff they see, no human should ever have to see.
Right.
I know that we talked a little bit earlier about, the cops, they get a bad rep. You have no idea what they go through.
Exactly.
You have no idea the kind of stuff they see. And rule number one was make sure you're going home at night. Mm-hmm. So we live in an age now where nobody respects cops. Mm-hmm. Kids,
oh man,
nobody. It's fuck the police. Let me record you doing something. Let me talk shit about every single move that you're doing. And they don't understand. You don't know what we go through or what we take home with us and what we hold in, because we don't want our family to witness what we see. Mm-hmm. And I don't want it to be seen as weakness anymore. Mm-hmm. Because once you actually start sharing, you realize, wow, that took a lot of strength.
Yeah.
Good for you. I never got anybody that watched the podcast or heard my story and said, you know what? You're weak as hell. I can't believe that. You're a little bitch. They were like, wow. It took a lot of courage to share and open up about stuff that you went through that's really nobody's business, but I want it to be. Yeah. I want people to know that, this stuff happened. It happens every single day.
Yeah.
And nobody talks about it until it's too late.
And we're not sharing it just for because we went through it. It's because it's a really important topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really important topic, and just like everybody goes through it, we all go through it.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, I have a lot of questions, but man, we answer all those questions, bro. So I was like, okay, I don't have another questions to ask.
Yeah.
But just to finish it off, bro, obviously, if you could go back in time
mm-hmm.
to that day that you had the gun in your hand,
mm-hmm.
and you're thinking about it, what would you tell yourself?
That it does get better.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I really had zero hope.
Right.
I just didn't see any light. I'm never going to be happy again. I'm never going to be able to share all these emotions that I have going on. You know, no one's ever going to love me. No one's ever going to be wanting to be with me. You know, it's just every negative thing that you could think about yourself, I was thinking. And I never thought that I would smile again.
So you would tell yourself at that moment, hey, man, it's going to get better.
Yeah, that when people tell you it's going to get better,
It will get better.
they're not lying. It does get better.
Yeah.
And especially with my sobriety, like, life is amazing. Like, I'm happy all the time, almost like that annoying happy. Like, the fuck are you so happy about? That's like me all the time now.
I used to hate that, dude, when people would tell me, you're going to beat it.
Yeah.
You're going to beat it. You're going to come out of it. Or when they say, fuck cancer. I hated that, bro. Until this day, I hate when people say that. I don't know why. That's just me, bro, because I feel like they really don't know the meaning behind it. They don't know what we really go through.
I guess I should hide the wristband that says fuck cancer.
No. That's just me, bro. You know what I mean? That's just me. It's just like, you know, when people will tell me, don't worry, bro, you're going to beat this. You're going to beat this. But I'm yellow, no eyebrows, dude. You know what I mean? No eyebrows at all. I'm freaking yellow. And, you know, I feel blessed, bro, because I didn't get skinny, dude. Yeah. I got big, bro. My cheeks were huge. Everybody was making fun of me. It's like, dude, even my buddies are like, hey, bro, I thought that cancer patients will get super skinny. You got pretty fat, bro. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah. So, you know what I mean?
Like, I'm healthy.
Yeah. But you know what? I feel blessed because I wasn't given a strict diet, bro. I could eat whatever I want. Even though it wouldn't sit in my stomach, I'll end up throwing it up. But it was all the liquid, dude, the IVs, everything that my body was absorbing. But yeah, for me, I didn't like that when people would tell me that, like, oh, you know, you're gonna get through it, you know, because I was dealing with this mental thing, like, am I gonna really get through it? You know what I mean? What is my wife gonna do without me? You know, if she gonna find somebody better looking than me, you know what I mean?
Oh, no one's better looking than you. Come on,
thanks, bro. Thanks, you know what I mean? But it's just you think about it, dude. Yeah, I think about all those stuff. So, I mean, if I could go back in time and tell myself something, bro, I'll think, stop living your life for other people. Live yours. I would tell that to myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably steal that one too. You know, like I tell clients now too, is that I would always see worrying about me as being selfish. Yeah. You know, like, oh, how could I worry about me when there's so other people that, you know, aren't doing well? You got to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. You got to make you number one. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not going to be there for anyone else. Yeah. If you don't take care of you, I can't help you. I can't help my mom. I can't help my cousins, anyone, my friends, coworkers. I can't help them because I won't be here. Yeah. So you got to make sure that you are okay and it's not selfish. Right. You got to have that self-love.
I post an Instagram post today on my personal Instagram page that 2 weeks ago something happened that I figured that, man, it took all this time for me to see it, you know, to feel it, like finally get it. Yeah. You know, after, you know, I mean, you figure I went through one of my most difficult times in life, going through chemo and figuring out if I was going to make it. And I never got it. I never saw it, you know, until 2 weeks ago. Something so tiny, bro. It's just, you know, and I just feel a completely different person now. You know, I feel different. I feel like, okay, let's ready to rock and roll, you know? So that's why I say, you know, stop living other people's lives and live yours, you know? But yeah, but other than that, bro, I mean, any advice you want to give to somebody that went through what you're going through, or that is going through what you're going through, maybe in a different scenario, not like very hardcore like yours, or maybe twice as hardcore like yours, that is going through it and they're not seeking help. You know, obviously we talked about seek help, you know, don't be afraid to speak up, but something that you think that once you walk out of the door and they listen to this podcast, it's going to get stuck in their mind.
Well, when it comes to, you know, there's a song by Screwface Gene, and in the beginning he says, a year from now, you'll be happy you started today. Nice. And that stuck with me because that's not just with addiction. You know, that's with mental health too. Right. You know, a year from now, you're going to be happy that you started working on you today, that you got sober today. You know, I've never met anybody who's like, God, I wish I would have been fucked up for another 2 weeks before I got clean. You know, they're like, thank God, you know, I chose that day. Yeah. So start now. Right. You know, it's never too early for you to get help. Right. And it's out there. You know, don't get frustrated. Keep pushing through. And you're stronger than you realize. You know, people are strong, and Sometimes they just need to hear it.
Right.
That you are strong. Get that help.
Nice, bro. I know that obviously when I do the marketing on this, I'm gonna tag you.
Okay.
Do you feel comfortable the audience reaching out to you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why one of the reasons why I came on here is because if anybody has a question, if there's something that, we didn't do in a 5-hour podcast, they're like, I'm curious of what your thoughts are on this.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Reach out. I'll get back to you, as soon as I can. But yeah, if you have any questions, if you need advice, if you need help, just whatever you're going through, reach out. I don't care if I don't know you. I want to help.
Nice.
So absolutely reach out.
Bro, I want to thank you for taking the time every day to be here with me and not only share your wonderful story, the struggle, the adversity you faced, everything in between, man. Especially that emotional moment.
Yeah.
About thinking about death.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro, for sharing that. I know this episode is gonna get around, and I know people will definitely reach out to you.
I hope they do.
And I thank you. And I thank the Lord that I bumped into you,
Right?
Relay for Life.
It happened for a reason.
Yeah, it happened for a reason. Here we are, and then we'll continue this friendship moving forward in a different way now. They just bump into each other at the bar. Hey, well, you want a beer? Now we could just have a simple conversation, and go from there. But yeah, man, thank you for being here.
I'm excited to watch your journey of you doing this podcast.
Thank you.
I think it's amazing what you're doing, especially getting out there because, like you said, nobody talks about the mental health.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you having me on here, and I'll be back for episode 2.
You got it, brother. Yeah, no, thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Well, that concludes episode 4. Stay tuned. Peace. At Juan Avila Photography, we focus on capturing decisive headshots and portraits where every photograph tells your story. Whether for corporate teams, executives, or personal branding, our high-quality images reflect your professionalism and authentic. Let us help elevate your image with headshots tailored to your unique needs. Looking for powerful video content that drives your business forward? At LC1 Productions, we specialize in creating high-quality corporate videos and commercials tailored to your brand. From concept to final cut, we bring vision to life, engaging, professional, and unforgettable. Make an impact. Let's elevate your business today. LC1 Productions, crafting stories that matter.